Magic Tea House, Book number 48, A Merlin Mission, A Perfect Time for Pandas, by Mary Pope Osborne. Chapter 1, The Fourth Thing. Jack heard knocking on his door. Teddy and Kathleen were knocking. They were calling to him. He had to help them save Penny. Jack tried to cross his room, but his legs wouldn't move. He couldn't get to the door. The knocking grew louder. "Jack?" his dad called. Jack opened his eyes. Where was he? "Jack, get up! School!" came his dad's voice. What a dream, thought Jack. He quickly sat up in bed. He'd overslept. "Jack, are you awake?" said his dad, peeking into his room. "Yep, thanks, Dad," said Jack. "Better hurry," said Jack's dad. He closed the door. Jack hopped out of bed. Where's Annie? He wondered. They had planned to go to the tea house before school. Today was the day to find the fourth thing to save Penny. Jack pulled on his jeans and a t-shirt and rushed out of his room. Annie charged out of her room at the same moment. "We overslept," she said. "No kidding," said Jack. "Hurry, we have to get to the tea house before school starts." "I know," said Annie. Annie and Jack charged down the steps. They rushed into the kitchen. "Good morning, sleepyheads," their mom said. "You have just enough time for breakfast. I made you egg sandwiches." "Thanks, Mom," said Jack. "But would you mind if we take them with us? We have to head to school early. We have a special project." "You guys really seem to love school," their dad said. "Yep, school's great," said Jack. Their mom wrapped up their sandwiches and put them in a paper bag. She handed the bag to Annie. "You two have a good day," she said. "Thanks, Mom," said Annie. Jack and Annie hurried to the front door and stepped outside into the moist spring air. "We have exactly 25 minutes before we have to head to school," Jack said. "No problem," said Annie. "Hold on." She put their sandwiches in Jack's backpack. "Okay, let's go." They raced across their yard and charged up the sidewalk. They ran across the street and headed into the Frog Creek woods. They ran between trees full of new green leaves until they came to the tallest oak. The magic tea house was high up in the branches. Annie grabbed the rope ladder and started up. Jack followed. Inside the tea house, they both sat on the floor, catching their breath. "Whew, it's all still here," gasped Annie. Dusty rays of morning light shone through the tea house window onto the three things they'd already found to help Teddy and Kathleen. A rose carved out of an emerald from India, a dried white and yellow flower from the Swiss Alps, and a goose feather quill pen from President Abraham Lincoln. "I hope Teddy and Kathleen were able to translate the last part of the rhyme," said Jack. "Do we have a new note?" They both looked around the treehouse. "Uh-huh," said Annie. She pointed to a book and a small scroll lying in the corner. Jack picked up the book, and Annie grabbed the scroll. "Interesting," said Jack. He showed the cover of the book to Annie. "Cool, China," said Annie. "Travel Guide, Southwest China." "We've been there before," said Jack. "Remember the emperor who burned the books and tried to have us killed?" "That was more than 2,000 years ago," said Annie. "Maybe we're going to a different time now." Annie unrolled their scroll and read aloud. "Dear Jack and Annie, We haven't yet finished translating the last lines of the secret rhyme to reverse the statue spell Teddy cast on Penny. But we do know the fourth object we need to break the spell, and we know that it can be found in southwest China. It is a healthy food, grainy and good, baked with love, tough as wood, round in shape, the color of sand, given to those who have lost their land. Once you have found the last object, please hurry to Camelot. Morgan and Merlin will return by break of day tomorrow. Teddy and Kathleen. Healthy food in China? Said Annie. That shouldn't be hard to find. But don't you think it sounds kind of weird? Said Jack. How can anyone eat something that's tough as wood? Good question, said Annie. But we'll have fun looking for it. I love the food we get with Mom and Dad at Chinatown Palace, don't you? Yeah, but, said Jack. Okay, said Annie. Now, did Teddy and Kathleen send a potion or anything else magical to help us? Jack looked around the tea house again. There, he said. A small glass bottle glinted in a shadowy corner. Jack picked it up, and he and Annie stepped to the window and read the writing on the bottle's label. Use only once. Take one sip and grow to 5 times your size. The magic lasts for 1 hour. 5 times our size? Said Jack. That would make us about as tall as a house. Talk about weird, said Annie. Yeah, but it actually sounds like fun, said Jack. More fun than when we became teeny tiny in India, asked Annie, after we saw the cobras. Lots more, said Jack, especially if we have to get away from cobras again. He put the rhyme and the tiny bottle into his backpack, then took a deep breath. Okay, all set? Ready, said Annie. Jack pointed to the cover of the guidebook. I wish we could go there, he said. The wind started to blow. The tea house started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 2. Silly Food. It was daylight outside. A rooster crowed in the distance. The air was damp and cool. Good, it's really early, said Jack. So we have a whole day and night until break of day tomorrow to do our mission. Perfect, said Annie. And look, we get to wear our own clothes for once. Oh man, said Jack. He was still in his jeans and t-shirt, and his backpack was still a backpack. Is that a mistake? Jack and Annie looked out the window together. Mountains rose majestically above the town they had landed in. The tea house was in the tallest tree, in a grove at the edge of a quiet street. Along the street were shops and other buildings, and a few cars. Cars, Jack said with relief. No mistake, said Annie. Our clothes didn't change because we came to China in modern times. Jack reached into his pocket and pulled out some paper money. Cool, my clothes didn't change, but my money changed from dollars to Chinese money. Perfect, said Annie. She looked out the window again and read some signs from the buildings. Wolong Town Bank, Wolong Town School, Wolong Town Bicycle Shop. I think we landed in Wolong Town. Wow, said Jack. How did you figure that out? Annie laughed. So let's look for some Wolong Town food. Okay, but the food we have to find doesn't sound like normal food, said Jack. Grainy and good, but tough as wood? Annie smiled. You always find something to worry about, she said. Come on. Annie headed down the treehouse ladder. Jack packed away their book in his backpack and followed her. Together, they stepped out from the grove of trees and headed down a busy sidewalk. Vendors were setting up stalls to sell crafts and pottery. Some girls and boys were passing by, carrying book bags. They were dressed in jeans, t-shirts, and sweatshirts. See, kids just like us on their way to school, said Annie. Except we took a detour to have breakfast halfway around the world, said Jack. Speaking of breakfast, how about going there? Annie pointed to a restaurant with tables outside. Garden Paradise? Jack said, reading the sign. Sounds like a good place to start. Jack and Annie crossed the street to the restaurant. Tables were set up near potted bamboo plants. A waiter poured tea for someone reading a newspaper. Jack glanced at the front page of the paper and saw the date. It's May 12th, 2008, he said. Cool, said Annie. The waiter nodded at Jack and Annie. Then he led them to a table that had 2 small bowls on it. Green tea? He asked. Or yak butter tea? Jack and Annie answered together, green. The waiter left and came back with a teapot. He poured pale green tea into 2 small bowls. Then he gave Jack and Annie menus and went to check on other customers. Yak butter tea? Jack said. I don't think so. Annie giggled as she looked at her menu. How about some green bean jelly? I don't think so. Jack scanned his menu. What about chicken feet? Ew, said Annie. Okay, how about this? Jack said gleefully. Fried stinky tofu? Ew, said Jack and Annie together. They laughed loudly, and Annie nearly fell out of her chair. Jack saw the waiter frowning at them from across the garden. Shh, Jack said. We're being rude. Sorry, Annie whispered in the direction of the waiter. We have funny-sounding food at home, too, she said to Jack. Like hot dogs. Oh, yeah. How about sour cream? Said Jack. Or squash. Squash. Annie laughed. Okay. Let's get serious now, said Jack. We have a mission. He took the little scroll from his pack, unrolled it, and read, A healthy food, grainy and good, baked with love, tough as wood, round in shape, the color of sand, given to those who have lost their land. It's a riddle, said Annie. It is, said Jack. Maybe we should just ask the waiter for help. He waved politely in the waiter's direction. When the waiter came to the table, he gave them a tight smile. Are you ready to order now? He asked. Actually, we have some questions, said Jack. The waiter nodded. Do you serve food that's the color of sand? Annie asked. The waiter stared at her. Jack felt awkward. Or, food that's like, as tough as wood? He said. Food like sand and wood? The waiter said. Not exactly, Jack said. Are you trying to be funny? The waiter interrupted. He gave Jack a fierce look. Sinking down in his chair, Jack shook his head. Well, the answer is no, said the waiter. We do not have such silly food. Oh, okay, said Jack. Is there something else you would like? The waiter asked. No thanks, said Jack. He could feel his face turning red. The waiter slapped their check on the table and walked away. Whoa, we should leave, said Jack, standing up. He looked at the check, then took a 20-yuan note out of his pocket and left it on the table. Come on. He walked quickly around the tables to the exit. Annie hurried after him. Back on the sidewalk, Jack sighed. So where do we go to look for this weird food now? Maybe the guidebook can help us, Annie said. Maybe, said Jack. He pulled out their book and looked up Wulong Town in the index. He turned to a page and read aloud. Wulong means sleeping dragon. Wulong Town is inside the Wulong National Nature Reserve, which is circled by a mountain range called the Sleeping Dragon. According to legend, a dragon fell in love with the beauty of the mountains and cheese. He curled around them to take a nap and never woke up. That's cool, said Annie. Yeah, but it doesn't help us, said Jack. He read more. Wulong Reserve is home to rare Asian animals such as giant pandas, golden snub-nosed monkeys, white-lipped deer, and... Wait, back up, said Annie. Did you say giant pandas? Yes, said Jack. Oh my gosh, said Annie. She covered her heart with her hands. My life's dream has finally come true. What life's dream? Said Jack, looking at her. Pandas? Yes, I've always wanted to see real pandas up close, haven't you? Said Annie. She took the guidebook and flipped through the pages until she found photos of pandas. She read aloud. In 1980, the Conservation and Research Center for the Giant Panda was set up in the Wulong Reserve to be a safe haven for the animals. A panda center. We have to go there, said Annie. Now! Wait, said Jack. We have a mission. Why are you acting so crazy about pandas? I can't help it, said Annie. All my life I've wanted to meet real pandas. Remember my two stuffed animals, Rolly and Polly? I loved them so much. You know that. Okay, but we have to stick to our mission, Jack said. We have lots of time to find that special food, said Annie. Wulong has other restaurants. It can't be that hard to find a weird food. Hey, I have a good idea. She gave the guidebook back to Jack, then started off. Come with me. Wait, stop. Where are we going? Jack said. We passed a bicycle shop later, Annie called over her shoulder. I'll bet they rent bikes. What? Are you crazy? Jack put their book away and walked after her. Where is this panda center? He called. We might not have enough time to get there and back and complete our mission. Plus, renting bikes costs money. We don't know how much. Let's find out, said Annie. She started running up the street to the Wulong Town bicycle shop.